Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It may be a little bit overcast, but I cannot think of a more beautiful day, a more perfect occasion for us to gather today for what we'll call the final status update of the Interstate 44 project. Thank you all so much for being with us. We have a large number of industry partners and dignitaries with us today who I'm going to attempt to quickly introduce. I know many of them you want to hear from, so I'll try to be quick. First, beginning with our senior U.S. Senator, Senator Jim Inhofe. Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin. Oklahoma Secretary of State Christopher Benj. Chris, I like that new name now. That's good. Current Oklahoma Transportation Commissioners Pete Regan and Todd Huckabee. Former Oklahoma Transportation Commissioners Guy Berry and Mark Leota. Former Representative Leota. Oklahoma State Senator Gary Stanislawski. The Executive Director of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, Mike Patterson, along with numerous members of the senior staff of ODOT. Thank you all so much. Would you please join me in applauding our friends at ODOT for the wonderful job they've done. From the Tulsa region, we have Tulsa County Commissioner John Smoligo, Tulsa Mayor Dewey Bartlett, Tulsa City Councilors Phil Lakin, Skip Steele, and Jeannie Q, and Sand Springs City Councilor Brian Jackson. Thank you all so much for being with us. As many of you know, we're nearly through the fourth and final phase of this legendary project. We can see the light at the end of the bridge, if you will. I'm excited to be here today. I know as all of you are, as we provide a final progress report on this key project that is sure to have a huge impact, not just on Tulsa, not just on Northeast Oklahoma, but on the state of Oklahoma and all the citizens of our great state and businesses all across this state and across this region. Our roads and our interstate highways play an absolute huge part in business and commerce, and certainly in economic development of our state and of our region. For this region, our chambers in Northeast Oklahoma, some 65 groups, have designated transportation as a top priority at the state and federal level for many, many years. We had some 70-plus Tulsa leaders in Washington meeting with Senator Inhofe, members of the Oklahoma congressional delegation, and as we do every year, transportation and transportation infrastructure is at the top of that list. And so thank you for being here. As you all know, this project began some 5 years ago. This section of highway was known as an extremely dangerous stretch. It was once an original piece of Route 66. It was one of the oldest sections of interstate in Oklahoma and was in dire need of modernization and obviously rehabilitation. Now we stand in a spot with an incredible view that so clearly showcases the incredible extensive work that's been done by a number of contractors and thousands of workers over the past 5 years. If many of you recall what this site looked like, we've got little books that might have some photographs that will give you a picture of what things looked like 5 years ago. But it's amazing the work that's happened over these past 4 phases, and when we last stood here together in October for our last status update. And finally today, you begin to see and you begin to realize the magnitude of this project, not just the price tag and not just the overall impact to the Tulsa region's infrastructure, but really to our entire state. And I would say none of this would be possible without the leadership and the persistence of Oklahoma's biggest transportation champion, our senior United States Senator, Senator Jim Inhofe. Senator, thank you for being with us today. You're not done yet. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Senator's ready to talk. We got to brag on you a little more, Senator. But Senator Inhofe secured the original funding for this project, some $400 million back in 2005, and he's continued to fight to ensure that this project became a reality as the federal government faced issues that threatened to leave the project high and dry back in 2008. Alongside Oklahoma Secretary of Transportation Gary Ridley, who unfortunately could not be with us today, who is have some hip injuries right now, Senator Inhofe worked tirelessly to make this much-needed project a reality. And without the dedication of these two gentlemen, along with many of you who are here today to commemorate this incredible project, this stretch of highway would not be here today, would not be where it is today. It has really helped us do so many things and to ease burdens to our residents, to things that have caused threats, things that have impeded business. We could not be more thankful. And Senator and Mr. Secretary, who's not here, thank you for what you've done. We all sincerely appreciate you. Now to get us started, I'm delighted to call on my good friend and partner in crime, the Mayor of the City of Tulsa, the Honorable Dewey Bartlett. Mayor?
Thanks, Michael. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a very good day when we can welcome United States Senator and former Mayor Jim Inhofe and the Governor of the great state of Oklahoma, Mary Fallin, here to see the good work that we have accomplished. I especially want to thank the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, both the current group of people that's managing this, Randall White, Mike Patterson, but also our good friend Guy Berry. His leadership, by being a now former highway commissioner, has not stopped. He and I are still leading efforts to complete the Gilcrease Expressway. Well, that's another story. But when everybody can collaborate and get together, this is what we can accomplish. Such a great, great day that helps tie not only the different sides of Tulsa together, but also the various types of commerce that our city thrives upon, and do it in a much safer way. When this stretch was initially built, back in the 50s, I believe, it was in state-of-the-art. But as traffic increased, it became a dangerous road. And we persisted, and now we have a much safer highway, and now it is the newest portion of our interstate system in the state of Oklahoma. So on behalf of the city of Tulsa, it's been a real pleasure to work with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. They have worked untold hours of informing the public, of doing best they can to have the impact of this bridge being closed minimized to all the different businesses that use this on a daily basis, that will use it on a daily basis. So once again, on behalf of the city of Tulsa, welcome. Thank you very much to ODOT, and congratulations for being here. Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would you please welcome the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, our good friend Mike Patterson. Mike?
Good morning. It's hard to believe that we stood here just a little over a year ago as we broke ground on this final phase, and we looked out over this stretch of road behind me, and there were dump trucks moving dirt. This phase has gone rather quickly. We hope to have this completed by early summer, have the bridge open, have the lights lit up as a gateway to the city of Tulsa. This is one of the most challenging projects that ODOT has ever undertaken. Imagine taking this project with 80,000 vehicles a day, working on it under traffic, and trying to get this completed in a timely manner. It's one of the most expensive projects and the most challenging. It's not often that we're able to proclaim one of these projects this type of deal, but for the city of Tulsa, for the Department of Transportation, this is a game changer. This has transformed this whole corridor into a more viable, safe, effective, efficient transportation system. As Mike mentioned, there's someone missing from up here. Secretary Ridley couldn't be with us today. This was his project. This was his baby. He was laser focused on making this project what it is. And I know he's at home convalescing right now and anxiously awaiting me to call him and let him know how this went. There's a couple of people I just want to introduce. We mentioned the Randall White and his team and the contractors that have been involved in this project and the designers, but there's a couple of guys that were really behind the scenes that I'd like to just take a personal appreciation for. Ray Sanders, who's standing right, raise your hand, Ray, and Rick Johnson next to him. They were the project managers on this that facilitated much of the work tirelessly. Ray would often tell me his project, his priority project is I-44, Riverside to Yale. Ray, congratulations. I appreciate the city of Tulsa and all the citizens that have had the patience of saints as we have gone through this process. Orange barrels is a sign of progress, and there's been a lot of progress here, and your patience has not gone unnoticed, and we really appreciate that at ODOT. It's now my pleasure to introduce our Transportation Commissioner for District 8, Pete Regan. Pete has been one of our champions here in Tulsa, been very supportive of the Department of Transportation in this project and all of our projects in Division 8. Pete Regan.
Hey, Petey.
Thank you, Director. I have nicknames for everybody, and his is Director Lion. When he was applying for the job, his hair was down to here. Second interview got here, so that's high and tight for him. Commander Ridley could not be here, but he doesn't need to be. I talked to him this morning, and he's very comfortable. Mike runs it on a day-to-day basis, and because of the things Secretary Ridley did, he doesn't need to be here and day-to-day working on it, so he sends his best. My name is Pete Regan, and I'm over the 11 counties for this district, Division 8, serving for the Department of Transportation. And our mission is to basically have a safe, efficient transportation system for the entire state. And because of Senator Inhofe, we get to be here today. Let me give you just a brief description. I know everybody's touched on it, or a couple folks have already touched on it. 6 years ago, Guy Berry was down here on Peoria with shovels turning the dirt to bring this interstate road, which did not meet interstate standards. It bypassed the standards. It was basically grandfathered in. It also, the Skelly bypass, essentially bypassed the heart of Tulsa. But because of Senator Inhofe, this stretch, which now has 80,000 vehicles a day, I Googled it last night, the BOK Center, 19,199 is a sellout. 4 times a sellout at the BOK Center, that iconic venue, travels right through here. So when I talked to Secretary Ridley, I said, what do I need to say about Senator Inhofe? And he said, just tell everybody it's his legacy. He helped us with the public involvement. He helped us with the funding as chairman. He started it when he was mayor, and he's just been a real champion. He would not change his mind, and he would not change the subject. As a result, this is what we have. Drainage improvements for 2 square miles. Deficient bridges are now replaced with new bridges. Short, dangerous on-ramps. 6 ingress, egress in about a half mile are now replaced with new ramps with more sight distance. Numerous corridor enhancements through the Kaiser Foundation and other entities here. It was a true partnership. And Randall White, one more shout out to Randall White. Oftentimes when you work at ODOT, you're like a long snapper. You're in the trenches literally, and you don't get the attaboy on the head or the attagirl on the head like a long snapper. They expect you to do your job. We all do. And 500 attaboys is great, but one oh crap or one mistake and they all are erased. So Randall, I just wanted to appreciate you and your team. I'm honored to be a part of it. The other partners in the Lewis corridor, the Lewis Manhattan Construction, Allen Contracting, Peoria, we have Becco Construction, the Perryman Ditch in Harvard, Sherwood Construction, Federal Highway, present here today, very helpful in the city of Tulsa. And most importantly, I think, the traveling public. Thank you for your input and your patience. It is now an honor to introduce my friend and boss, Governor Fallin. She served in the State House, where she made contacts and expertise on policy issues. She served as lieutenant governor, where she promoted tourism, including northeastern Oklahoma, and business initiatives. As a Congress member, she asked for and was granted a seat on the powerful Transportation Committee, so she knows our issues at the local and the state level. As governor, she brought in Chairman Micah, who is chair of that powerful committee. When he no longer had the gavel, she brought in his replacement, Congressman Schuster, so she's utilizing those contacts to benefit us. When she became governor, I had more money in the ashtray of my car than the rainy day fund. We had $2.03. We now have millions and millions of dollars. As a leader, she's emerged as a leader nationally as well with the National Governors Association. She has used those relationships to help the tornado in Moore, a tragedy, but also to help negotiate contracts in Michigan to buy vehicles with other governors. She got a bulk discount, and the Department of Transportation, many other agencies, now have natural gas vehicles. The savings over the life of those vehicles will allow us to do more bridges ranging in the millions of dollars. So one other thing, she helps support us with the 8-year plan, and she's just a great leader. It's phenomenal for her to be here. And I have one more deal. I'm going to go off the record. I've got a 46-pound kindergartner who I wanted to play hooky today. My wife vetoed it, but apparently she changed her mind, and this is such a big deal that he got to play hooky. So thanks for coming, Jack. And without further ado, the main event, Governor Fallin.
Thank you so much. Well, it's a great day in Tulsa today to be able to celebrate this wonderful opening of the bridge and the highway and all the great progress that we have made for transportation in the state of Oklahoma. Commissioner Regan and Commissioner Huckabee, thank you so much for your service on the Transportation Commission. And certainly, Guy Berry, we appreciate your past service. Thank you also. Transportation is very critical to the state of Oklahoma, and these 3 commissioners have worked very hard to advocate on behalf of more funding for infrastructure and transportation in our state. So we appreciate all of you. And to Senator Inhofe, it's great to see you here. Thank you, Senator, for coming. Senator Inhofe has been a true champion for transportation funding for our state. As you have just heard, he's fought so hard to get us more money for essential projects in our state, and certainly this is one of the biggest projects in our state, Oklahoma. So, Senator Inhofe, thank you so much. And to all of our other distinguished guests that have joined us here today, thank you. Thank you for coming too as we celebrate another milestone in fixing our bridges and our roads in the state of Oklahoma. Mayor Bartlett, congratulations. As I've traveled throughout Tulsa and the Tulsa region, and we've had all these roads and bridges under construction and all the orange cones and barricades, I've always told people that's a sign of progress, a sign that money is being spent in Tulsa County, and we like that going on, Mayor. So, Mayor, thank you for all that you have done too. And also to our Senate Transportation Committee Chair, Senator Stanislawski. There you are. Thank you so much for all your support. He has worked with us in getting more funding for our roads and our bridges in the state of Oklahoma, more than what we've had in the past in our state, and that's very important too. Thank you for what you've done. And of course, to our Secretary Gary Ridley, he has worked so very hard. I sent him a text last night and said, Secretary Ridley, I just want you to know we'll all be thinking about you today as we talk about the opening of this wonderful highway and bridge itself. And Director Patterson has certainly done a tremendous job. Director, thank you for your commitment to transportation and safety and commerce in our state. But all this wouldn't be possible without the Department of Transportation employees, so I don't want to forget to say thank you to our DOT employees for all that you've done, and our private sector contractors that have worked so very hard to partner with the state too, to make all this work together, because it's not always easy, as you heard. This specific section of the interstate is particularly important because it is a vital route, not just for the people in Tulsa, but it's also a vital route for traveling across the state of Oklahoma. As you heard, there are 80,000 vehicles that will travel across this interstate. It's also important because it's one of the oldest sections of our interstates in our state, built before the creation of our interstate system in 1956. And it is very important that we have a quality, functional infrastructure system in our state because it's vital for commerce, economic development, trade, jobs, certainly very important to the traveling public and the safety of those who are traveling along our interstate system. There's been a lot of different projects in this corridor. and has certainly put a lot of key modern types of infrastructure that allows the interchanges to be able to grow and prosper during this time. And now what we know is that traffic's going to be able to flow better through this area. We're not going to have as much congestion as what we've had. It'll make it quicker to be able to travel through this area, make it easier for businesses to get people in and out, and certainly commuters and travelers for years to come will appreciate it. So Tulsa should be very proud of this investment in the city and this showcase piece of infrastructure. And by the way, I really like the Art Deco pylons. They're going to be lit up. I think it's going to be such a great gateway to this wonderful intersection of our highway system, and it's going to be a symbol that sets Tulsa apart. So thank you for doing that too. And of course, we're very appreciative of the federal money that we have received from the Federal Highway Department, and certainly Jim Inhofe, Senator Inhofe's great advocacy to get a large sum of money to make this possible today. He's always been a great advocate for this. So this investment is going to help us make incredible progress towards eliminating some of our insufficient bridges in our state, which has been a very important goal for Oklahoma. Back in 2011, the Department of Transportation and myself announced a plan to help eliminate our structurally deficient bridges in our state, and I'm proud to say we've made some great progress. Oklahoma back in 2004 had a high of 1,200 structurally deficient bridges in our state, and by the end of 2013, there were only 482 left. That's a huge amount of progress for fixing our bridges in our state. But we're not finished, and by the time the 8-year plan is finished in 2019, we plan to have all those structurally deficient bridges that were on that plan. We passed that legislation back in 2011, finished and complete, and have a better road and bridge program throughout the state of Oklahoma. So thank you to all of you who have worked so hard to make this project successful, who helped get the money, who worked hard in the legislature on the federal side with Senator Inhofe, the Federal Highway Commission. We appreciate that. And certainly to all the Department of Transportation employees and our private sector contractors. Together, we're making safer roads and bridges in the state of Oklahoma and building up our infrastructure, which says a lot about our concern and care about our infrastructure. Thank you so much.
Very good, Ray. Good job.
Thank you, Governor Fallin. It's always a pleasure to hear the strength in your resolve for infrastructure here in Oklahoma. If we had a single person to single out that has been the champion of this project since the beginning, it would be our U.S. Senator James Inhofe from right here in Green Country. Senator Inhofe and Gary Ridley recognized the challenges before them and the need to resolve those challenges and take care of the problem. It was the two of them that made this thing take off from its early beginnings until its completion. Senator Inhofe has been a true friend of transportation through his many years, and we're fortunate to have had his unwavering support since this project began. I'd like to introduce to you the senior senator from the state of Oklahoma, Senator James Inhofe.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I've got three things to say here I think are significant. First of all, we've said a lot about Gary Ridley. What you don't know, most people don't know, is that his reputation goes nationwide. I mean, this guy, when I chaired the Environment and Public Works Committee for a number of years that has jurisdiction over all this stuff that we're talking about today, and I will be doing it again next year, Gary Ridley has been, I've had him testify before Congress, before the United States Senate, and he is recognized and was recognized at that time as the #1 director in the United States of America. I mean, he's if you single out one person, Mike, I disagree with you, it would be Gary Ridley. And so he's not here today, and he's not doing very well, and I'd like to interrupt this just by everyone giving a big round of applause for the guy that made all this happen, Gary Ridley. All right? Here, here. All right. The other thing I want to mention to you is it really hasn't been said. Mary Fallin here, when she was in Congress, she was on the T&I committee, the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And she and I talked about this stuff all the time. And so she was the one we could check it through from the Senate to the House. She'd make sure that it happened and that we were doing a good job of coordinating this thing. So, Mary, she did just as much in Congress to do this as she has now as governor of Oklahoma. So, Mary, you're doing a great job, pal. The last thing I want to mention, that's for the benefit of you and the media that are here. We've done a lot of talk about a lot of money. Now, I can say this, others can't say it. I've had the ranking of the most conservative member of the United States Senate more than any other senator. The numbers are there. And yet, I've often said that in two areas, I'm a big spender. One is in national defense, national security, and the other is in transportation, in infrastructure. Now, if you wonder why that is, go read Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And I for the benefit of the media here, we are going to be going into another transportation reauthorization. The last one we did was not as good as 05. It was only a 27-month, and it runs out in September. The transportation fund is going to run out in August, so we got a crisis on things coming up. Yeah, Mary's right. This is not this is the beginning. We have other things to do. Yeah, I'm very proud. We got I-44 and I-40. That's all good. But one of the problems we're having is a lot of the people in the House and the Senate, primarily the Senate, demagogue this as big spending when you're spending on roads. That is just as wrong as it can be, and they know it's wrong. That's what we should be doing in Washington instead of all this other stuff that we're doing. So I'm looking forward to getting that out. And I have to say this about the United States House of Representatives. All the demagoguing against spending on roads happened in the Senate, not in the House. I went to the House and explained to them, as Gary Ridley has explained to the entire nation, that the worst thing that we can do and the most expensive thing we can do is operate on extensions. All the contractors here today will tell you that's right. You got to plan something in advance and go and carry it through. That's what a transportation reauthorization bill does. So we're going to be doing that, and I agree with Mary. This is the beginning, and you're going to see a lot of good things happen in Oklahoma and around the nation. But keep in mind, the conservative position is to support a strong defense and to support infrastructure in America. That's what we're going to do. So thanks so much, Mike. You did a great job, and good crowd here, Governor and Mayor, the rest of you here. This is a happy day. Thank you.
There's a couple of people that I want to recognize as the Department of Transportation. Mayor Bartlett mentioned the cooperation between the department and the city of Tulsa. Mayor, we really appreciate the cooperation we've had from the city on this project and the many other projects that we've had recently in Tulsa. I think everyone would agree we've had significant amount of construction going on, particularly in the downtown area and the near downtown area. So Mayor Bartlett, thank you for that. I'd like to also introduce Rich Breer. Rich, if you'd raise your hand. He's with INCOG, another great partner for the department. We interact with INCOG on several projects around the metropolitan area. As the senator was talking about the federal funds and the extensions, one name comes to mind anytime we talk about level, sustainable funding in my mind, and that's Mark Leota, who authored the legislation to get state funds to the agency back in 2005 with the support of the entire legislature and the support of the state legislature today and the governor to keep that funding coming to ODOT so that we can take care of the many projects that we have underway and in the future. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the governor mentioned, we have our Art Deco towers as one of the things we're going to do to commemorate that. All of us are going to sign this piece of steel over here on this table as part of a commemorative effort, and it will be placed inside the Art Deco. Also over on this table over here to my left and your right As a sentimental reminder of the old alignment, we have pieces of the old Lewis Bridge to take as a commemorative offering, souvenir, if you will, of the old bridge. And with that, I want to thank everyone that came out today, particularly the media, to cover this great event for the state of Oklahoma and the city of Tulsa. Thank you again for joining us.